You want to get A stars in your A levels, and I'm going to tell you how to do it in 5 simple steps. Do you need to study for 18 hours a day? Do you need to get the best in your class? Do you need to give up on your sleep? No. Look, all I can do is apologise about the setup right now. I sat on my microphone and I broke it. Welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name's Tilly. I got 5 A stars in my A levels and I got majority grade 9s at GCSE, but I want to give you my top study tips and tricks and tell you how you can get those grades as well. I'm going to try and post every day on YouTube until your exams come around, so be sure to subscribe so you can keep up to date, turn on those post notifications, hopefully my study tips and tricks can help you get those grades as well. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram because that is where I post the majority of my content. Alright, let's dive straight into it. You don't have any time to waste. I don't want to waste your time. Let's go. Before you start doing anything though, you need to let go of your ego. You're here for a reason. I see you. You didn't click on this video because you're a perfect student. You clicked on this video because you want to improve. And that is something you need to admit. You need to admit that you're not getting those top grades right now. Or even if you are getting A stars, you want to make sure you keep getting A stars. You want to know how to revise. So that's the first step, being able to admit that you're not perfect and you have weaknesses. I'm not a perfect student. I got those grades. I'm still not perfect. I didn't get 100%. Admitting that is step 1 to doing well and getting better. It's also key for steps 2 and 3. You need to understand that you can't revise everything on the A-level specification. It's too much stuff. You can't revise it all the day before the exam because there's too much content. So what you need to do, you need to prioritise what you're going to revise. But luckily for you, A-levels are structured in such a way that makes this much easier. Let's take maths, for example. Start of year 12, you'll have on the specification basic differentiation, but then you'll have in year 13 you'll have more complex differentiation, you'll have differentiating trig, you'll have differential equations. In year 13 you do things that build on the knowledge that you built in year 12. It was like you were building that foundation of knowledge in year 12 that you build upon in year 13. Now this happens to varying extents in the different A levels. Of course, for maths that's naturally going to happen. You're building this toolkit. In history, however, you might be studying completely different things in January in year 12 and March in year 13. You need to identify what you actually need to revise. And how do you do this? You do a RAG checklist. Probably sick to death of hearing people say that, but unfortunately for you, it's true. A RAG checklist stands for red, amber, green. You go through your specification, which you can just find on your examples website, put it on your iPad, put it on your tablet, print it out if you don't have that, and just go through it and red, amber, green, checklist it. So go through those topics you look at and you're like, if that came up on the exam, I'd be happy. I'd get all the marks. Green. You're like, I could give it a go, but I'm not really sure how I do. Amber. Don't know it. Would hate if it came up on the exam. Red. That's a good way to tell what you're weakest at. And you see, you need to let go of your ego to be able to do that and admit your weakness. And then the next step, which many people miss out weirdly, you need to go through your topics in red and start with them. But before you start it, why is it in red? Alright, so economics, for example, I was really happy with all of the theory of the firm stuff. I was really happy with monopoly and really happy with oligopoly. I could conceptually understand why these market structures were a thing. Why was I not getting the marks in the exam? That's what I needed to revise. I didn't need to go over the content because I knew it. I needed to understand how you answered that exam question to get all of the marks. Whereas in A-level maths, I was never getting the equation of a trajectory question right because I didn't understand it. And you see how my revision for those two things is going to be very different. So the conceptual understanding, you need to go on YouTube and get it explained to you in a way that you understand. You need to get your head around it essentially. Make your own notes, make them in a way that makes sense to you, and watch as many YouTube videos as it takes, as many teachers teaching it in different ways as it takes for you to understand. Hopefully you can go to your teacher and ask them to explain it again, but a lot of the time the reason that you didn't understand it the first time is just because you didn't really get the way that your teacher was teaching it. If it's a problem with exam structure, you need to skip that step and just go straight into the next one. Before you even start trying an essay though, you need to revise how do you get the marks in the exam. You can do this by literally just going online. There are so many documents that people have made. How do you pick up all of the marks? What are the assessment objectives? How do you do this? How do you do that? What is the paragraph structure? What can you incorporate to help increase your marks in exam questions rather than focusing on the content itself? For all of my essay subjects, I would have sheets and I would stick them on my wall. How many marks for each question? But for like economics, for example, 25 marks. How many are for knowledge, application, analysis, evaluation? And how do I get those? How many links do I need in my chains of analysis? How do I deepen them? Etc, etc. Then you need to try the practice question and you need to mark it harshly. But the thing is, when you're marking your own practice questions, you get access to the mark scheme. When it's, for example, biology, if you go and do your, 25 mark essay in biology, it's a very hard thing to get 25 marks in. But you can pick up on key phrases that are in the mark scheme. They come up again and again and again, particularly when you're doing practice papers. You might know the content, you might know everything about respiration, but you might be using the wrong terminology. You might not be giving the examiner what they want to see. You only learn how to give them what they want to see by doing practice and looking at that mark scheme. And it's the same for so many different subjects. So do it again and again, and then when you're marking your exam, use the examiner's reports, because you see why students stripped up. You see, many students said, this was a curved lens, we wanted concave or convex. Learning from your mistakes, but also learning from other people's mistakes, and you can think, oh wow, I definitely won't do that if everyone's done it, and they've specifically said this is why they lost marks. You learn from others' mistakes. And then the final step to this process is to reward yourself. You need to incorporate a reward system into your revision, because if you don't do this, you are not going to stay motivated. You are just going to burn out. Of course, you can have that long-term motivation. I really want to go to this university. I want to make my parents proud. I want to do this. I want to do that. But if you don't have that short-term sort of reward system ingrained, you're just going to burn out. If you have nothing to look forward to at the end of a day of studying, how do you expect to stay motivated? Even within the day. So a really big one for me if I was studying at a coffee shop would be like, okay, if I finish this maths practice paper, I can go and get myself a caramel latte. That was my reward, and I couldn't do that until I'd finished my paper. Of course, make it lighthearted. Don't make it like, I can't take a break until I've done 6 hours of work, because that's silly and that's going to burn yourself out. You need to incorporate breaks, but you also need to incorporate rewards. And a big one that I do now I'm at university, it's if I get all of my problem sets done by Saturday night, I get to go out. And if I don't, then I don't get to go out until I've done my problem sets. Unfortunately, this might mean you turn up late if you have been doom scrolling and you haven't gotten everything done, but if you're strict with it, it encourages you to do the work. Rinse and repeat the strategy for every single A level, and then you'll have the content, you'll have the exam structure, and if you have those two things, you know how to stand to the exam and you actually know the content, there's no way you can do badly. And that is how you get A stars. That is how you get those top grades. If you found this video helpful, please do not forget to like and subscribe. Tell me what kind of videos you want to see next. I'm going to be making content every single day until your exams. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.